Okay, so this video I want to do an update for my latest tattoo in comparison when there is new. That means when I say new, I mean this the picture, and it's before the scabs have fallen off and the tattoo have not yet healed. This is what I mean when I new, and the healed is obviously when it's healed and this kind of thing. Okay, the reason why I do this kind of videos is to explain obviously maybe obviously this because this tattoo is not very extremely old. It's just 2-3 months. Obviously it will change from year to year later, and so on and so on and so on. But is so for every year will make your tattoo a bit not as clear as it was from the start. So obviously this comparison is maybe not the best, but if you take a tattoo you have maybe in like 12 years, and then you compare it with the tattoo you have with the tattoo when it was new, comparable 12 years or 80 years later, is that thing is much better to do in comparison. But this is the best thing I can come up with right now. Okay, so the thing here is that it's when we with people with other skin color, darker and brown, it's always important is to have colors that is similar to red and similar to green. For example, turquoise blue, magenta, red violet. That is the color that is most likely to work because they have red is the color very strong. So if red is in the mixture of this color name, magenta, red, violet, this means that that version of purple will be much stronger on darker skin tone than just normal purple is, because it's more vibrant. The same for turquoise blue is that if you always the different version of turquoise blue, you have tropical teal, and obviously because it's more green in the darker version, then that makes it so the turquoise blue is more likely to stay on your skin than normal blue, because normal blue is just it's a cold color, but if you have green it makes it more warmer and so on. And the other thing is obviously how strong the color is. And what I mean with this is that it's always important that the color from the start is darker than your background. That means your skin. So if your color is the same contrast as your skin tone, if you put it on your leg, your hand, your arm, your stomach, your chest, your back, and obviously because your back and your chest, your stomach is most covered with clothing, that means it's not as dark as your arms are, and your part of your legs. Obviously, if where you live, you have always put something over your clothes, your bodies, and protect it. That makes the sun is not as strong on that part of the bodies, and this kind of thing. So that is just my recommendation: is to always have the first color stronger than your background, than your skin. Then you have to have a stronger color than that to make the contrast. So you don't have to be extremely much stronger, but you have to have always it's almost like 3 layers. First the skin, then the other 2 of the inks to make it contrast. So you can see here on the first one, you see that the turquoise blue mixed with little green in. It's not original this. Originally it's just turquoise blue. We put in some graphic green that is a mixture of, is a middle with lime green and jungle green. It's a middle with, if you talk about Ink Eternal's term of the colors name and so on. So you see the differences. You see how much darker the magenta is compared to my skin, to the background, and then you see the turquoise blue. You see the turquoise blue is much darker than the magenta. So you have always the balance. You make darker. So you always have the balance. You make one gonna be lighter because the other one is darker. When the tattoo heal, you can see the magenta is much lighter, and the turquoise blue is still darker, but much lighter in comparison to how the tattoo looked when it was new. before it healed on my skin. So that is extremely important to understand, is that you should never ever have a color that is light as your skin from the start, because when that color healed on your skin, gonna be much brighter as a lighter, and it's very hard to see the color then. So you always have to have contrast beside dark and light and medium to make it good thing. And other thing I also have to say, maybe is also important, is try to use colors that have very little white ink in them, because they will stay much longer on the skin. Especially if you have very dark skin, it's very good that you color it warm colors, so they are not. So it's when you obviously when you tattoo people with white skin, you can use lots of shading, you use different combination, but in tattoo dark skin you always have to take different part of the ink. You take dark, very dark, medium, and light, and somewhere in the middle too, to make a good contrast. So if you have, like example, you have a yellow flower, the best thing you can do is to have something like a green background to make the yellow much stronger. Because if you only have yellow on brown skin and dark skin, that yellow will be almost like peanut butter brown. It's not going to look good. So always have something in the background that is stronger in the skin and stronger in the yellow. So the yellow have a very strong background. So they make the yellow. So yellow is first your skin, then the green, then you can have the yellow flower, and then like green as a shading, almost like instead of you make black and gray as a shading, or you have right, when you see in sleeves, always see they have shadings. It's always good to have a strong shading to make it all complement each other and so on with the color. And another thing, the other thing is very important is you always have to think 12 or 30 years ahead when you make a tattoo, because the tattoo you see in picture, the color you see maybe will not be as vibrant as when the scabs fall off. And I learned I learned this in the hard way. I learned when first time I ever used purple, I learned that it's like purple, they will look amazing on your skin, purple, but when the tattoo heals, it's a totally different story. So that is extremely important to understand, is that always talk with your tattoo artist. Ask your tattoo artist, how well will that color heal on my skin from like 12 years from now? And that is super important, so ask this kind of question, because this means nothing if a color stay on your skin 4 weeks, because your tattoo should stay on your skin to your rest of your life on your skin. So it's so important that you go to a tattoo artist that know exactly how to complement your skin with the colors you choose. So he have to always, if he say like to you, like if that person tattoo artist say to you, this is not going to work, listen to the artist, because it's one thing if he say this is not going to work because if he don't like the colors, that is it's a totally different story. But if you say this, I mean, this is not going to work because it's too light and it's not going to work with the contrast with your skin, listen then it's very important to listen to the artist, because you don't want to go back to the artist 5 times to fix one tattoo, and you have to spend lots of money, and that money you can use for a new tattoo instead. I promise you. Always talk with the artist, explain what color you want, if you want a color tattoo, and be very precise what you mean with colors, because we also have, for example, if you go into ink bag, you have different versions of red, green, blue, turquoise blue, orange, yellow, and so on. So it's very important that you choose the right version. For example, one mistake I do, a big mistake, was I forgot when my recommendation was to have red violet, but I forgot to ask about red violet, so I get purple. It's a totally different size of a beast. For if you, because purple have different version of purple. You have dark, medium, and light. But red violet is different in some case from purple because you have more red in the violet mixture than you have in purple. So you're gonna have a different result if you have purple. The same with magenta. So it's extremely important that always you get the right magenta. You don't take the wrong magenta on your skin because that will have a different result. Because every color is made in different ways and so on. So yeah, that is just this thing I want to say with this comparison video and so on. It's just always the first layer of the ink have to be darker than your background. Then, and always you always have 3 layers of contrast. If the first layer is as light as your skin, especially if you have dark skin, it will not work. Your the contour is still there, but the color will not be there. So it's extremely important that the colors is the right size and the right measure of all this kind of thing. Yeah, so it's just look around on the internet. If you know persons, ask them and really look about healed a new one in comparison to side by side, so you can really see how well these colors stack up on your the skins. So you don't only look if you only look on healed pictures that you often see in magazines. Most of that means they are healed. They are new. They are not healed. That is going to be a totally different story when they are healed on the skin. So it's extremely important to find good pictures of the tattoo, so you can see the comparison how it looks 12 years ago and now. Not just that is what I mean when I say in the beginning of the video that maybe this video is maybe not the best comparison because the tattoo is so new. So I want to do a new video of this one many years later and see if how much my color have changed in the comparison. So everything will change for time to time on the skin. Okay, so that is just what I mean is that I don't say in this video I don't know absolutely the most, absolutely not. It's not what I'm saying. They are saying in my video here is that it's so important that you go to an artist that really know how to work with your skin tone, because lots of artists maybe gonna say yes to you because they just want to be friendly, but they always say because you paid for something that costs lots of money, you have to be very careful, especially if you have brown dark skin, who you go to. For some artists is not as well trained with that skin type as they are with light skin. Always this maybe sounds maybe some people maybe take this wrong, but you have to understand it's a very different story how you tattoo dark skin and how you tattoo light skin, because you cannot use the same use the same way. When you tattoo people light skin, because in light skin you can have lots of white ink in the coloring and shading. You cannot use that on dark skin. So you have to always have complement each other, and you have to have complementary colors to make some color that originally maybe should not work to work. For example, so if for example you have purple, and you have, for example, say that you have you make a purple moon, but you have black clouds as background, that purple will stay much better if that purple was just on your skin, but now you have a darker background. The same if you have a yellow, you take a example, okay, also that may sound very stereotypical now, but you have a green dragon and you make yellow spikes on the dragon. Then the yellow will stay much better if the yellow was stay a long color on your skin. So that is extremely important. That is the right size. The color is, from original laser again, is darker than the background, your skin. Then the other color have to be darker. You always have to find like almost like a puzzle, like step by step by step, how the color will stick up. And obviously that is something my tattoo artists always tell me, is that the best thing if you have dark skin is a big one and open space. Like if you make tribal tattoos, like Haida tattoos, Maori tattoos, Polynesian tattoos, it's always good to make a big tattoo and open space. You can see the skin in some part to make some breathing room for the tattoo. It's also a very good thing. Always and have good black lines around it to make you see the lines of it, and obviously have warm colors and this kind of thing. So that is just an extremely important thing. It's just to really understand before you do the tattoo, is to understand what color will work, what color will not work. And the color do not work can work if you make something as darker and the color in the background. So like purple with black background, or complement each other, or green with yellow with green background. That will work much better if the yellow was just on just your skin. So this what it means. You see here on this tattoo, you see it's lots of breathing room in the tattoo because it's a tribal tattoo. So you can see that you see the skin. So you can see this. So the contrast, because and you see the background where under the tattoo, where the tattoo is, you see that the color is darker and the underlayer. So it's almost like where the tattoo is in the skin is a bit lighter, and the skin over the tattoo, around the tattoo, not exactly where the tattoo is under on the skin. So yeah, and you see how much lighter the color gets when they healed on my skin. So if you think like this. You take the new tattoo, and you put it there. Think like if you get a tattoo, and you get this color from the start, and then the tattoo have not yet healed, and you get that bright color. And think about how that color will look when they heal. So you see You see here that how dark this one is from the start, how bright this color is much later, and it's not just even a year old. This tattoo is just this year. You understand what I mean? You understand what I mean? Is that so? That is what I mean. You always have to have colors that 12 years or 40 years ahead how they will stick up on the skin. So I don't know how long this color will stay on my skin, maybe kind of 2 or 3 years, then I have to touch it up. So it's very important to do a tattoo, because tattoo costs money. The more you have to fix the tattoo, because the color was too bright, too light on your skin, you're going to cost too much money in the end. So it's always good to have from the start a good contrast and good balance with the tattoo to make a really good one. You spend lots of money on the one piece, then you don't have to spend again. So it's extremely important that the colors is not too light on your background, because that do not going to work. Simple to say. So if this one was the healed one, the new one. This here you see the brightness. How bright is one going to be too bright? Because this is how it looks when the tattoo was done. So this is how the color is. So this is a perfect combination, because you get dark and you get exactly the right volume of lightness, as you not get too light coloring on the color and so on when you make the tattoo, when you get the tattoo, and this kind of thing. So the other place to go to on the internet, if you have dark skin tone, if you want to get a color tattoo, is to go to Tattoo Monologues, and then it's lots of good text that can explain, and then you can go to write how to get tattoos on darker skin tone on YouTube. Then you can find lots of good videos that explain it very good in detail, how they do and what kind of color will work, and so on. So it's good to really look around on the internet to really find different different ways to how to see what color will work, what color will not work, and so on. So yeah, it can be some hazard sometimes if you do something very wrong, but it's just so yeah, it's just to look around, and obviously it's other things to good to do is to have a picture that you see the contrast, that you can see, for example, how dark is that coloring and how dark is your skin, and in comparison from the free tattoos. If you have an arm, take a picture of your arm, and you take a picture of the colors you want for your tattoo and put them side by side, then you see how bright that color is, and how dark that color is, and how dark your arm is, and so on. But then you have to put in the other thing that you cannot measure if you know from the start, is how much brighter will that color get when the tattoo healed on the skin, and this kind of thing. So that is also a very important thing to put into the picture. So it's there. You always have to see. Okay, so like even if some color will get much quicker, lighter, because they are not as strong in some sense on the word as red is. So red and green, especially lime green, dark lime green, is a very strong colors, and they will stay much longer in the skin. Comparison, if you compare it with, example, magenta. So always magenta is a good color, but not as strong as green and red and green and red and turquoise blue. It's the three strong colors. Red the strongest, green and purple blue, especially dark purple blue, and this kind of thing. Yeah, so that is everything I really want to say in this video. Hope you like it, and yeah, bye.